It's time to explore Week 4 of Daily Dose of Grammar. This week in spelling, you will be looking at words that have the schwa sound. Phonetically, the schwa sound is written as an upside-down E. The schwa is when you have a vowel that does not make its correct sound. It's a mysterious, unstressed vowel, and it sounds like an even though it may be an A or an E or an I, O, U. It makes a sound different from its original sound. So let's look at the word banana. We know that A says ah. So we have ba. So here it says nan. Now the A is saying the right sound there. Notice again at the end you hear that sound for the A. Banana. So the upside down E represents that schwa where the vowel is making that sound instead of the sound that it would typically make. So when you're spelling these words, you need to know how to spell them because you're going to hear like in the word algebra, but it is not a U that goes at the end. It's actually an A. It's an A that's making the schwa sound. So pay close attention to your spelling words this week. The schwa can be tricky. The word of the week is nonchalant. Say nonchalant. This means a person is appearing calm, they're relaxed, they're unexcited. Here you have a little girl, and her toy Jeep in the yard is caught on fire. And she says to her mom, "By the way, Mom, my Jeep's on fire." She's just being very nonchalant about it. Typically, if your Jeep was on fire, you would be screaming and yelling, "My Jeep is on fire!" But she just nonchalantly says, "Oh, by the way, my Jeep's on fire in the yard." So that's being nonchalant. The skill of the week is commas after introductory elements. We often use a comma to set off certain introductory words. So certain words that exclaim things, like when we say, "Oh, yes, no," or "Why, my goodness." So the word, for example, let's look at this sentence. "Well, have you girls finished with that mural yet?" The person is kind of saying, "Well, comma," so that's an introductory word. Also, when using adverbs like however, ultimately, consequently, "However, comma, Tony just finished painting her part." So a lot of times at the beginning of a sentence, you'll have an introductory word or an introductory phrase that you have to put a comma after, and then you finish the sentence. Here's another one. "Signaling for a timeout, comma, the coach gathered her players." It's a little introductory phrase, and then there's a comma before finishing the sentence. Some other examples. "Because you are tardy to school, comma, you need to stop at the office for a pass." So this is actually deals with subordinate clauses, which you don't need to worry about that. You just need to be able to figure out, because you are tardy to school, comma, you need to be able to figure out where that phrase should get a comma after it. "Even though it's cold, comma, we might not get a snow day." Again, the comma after cold. Let's look at a couple examples. "In the corner of the room, a nightstand showed the way to the door." Now, if you read this out loud, if you're having trouble, you may want to read it out loud. "In the corner of the room, a nightlight showed the way to the door." Read it twice and you'll be able to hear in your voice, "In the corner of the room, comma, a nightlight showed the way to the door." "Why, that's a beautiful ring you are wearing." "Why, comma." Notice how your voice is going to kind of naturally know where you're pausing, and that's where your comma is going to go. "Because the snow cover was so thin, the deer had no trouble finding food." Read it the first time, and then the second time through, you should know where that pause goes, where your comma is going to go. "Because the snow cover was so thin, comma, the deer had no trouble finding food." And the last one, "Smiling from ear to ear, Monica told us the news." Smiling from ear to ear, comma, Monica told us the news. So you're going to be able to pick up on those introductory elements. You're finding where that comma should go after that little introductory word or phrase. Sliding down to information skills, you're looking at abbreviations again this week. Remember that if you're doing states, both letters are capitalized. Alabama, capital A, capital L. Montana, capital M, capital T. There's no periods. 2 capital letters, no periods. When you're doing streets, avenue, boulevard, sometimes there's 2 letters, sometimes 3. Boulevard has 4. The very first letter is capitalized and there is a period at the end. Then you have your days of the week and your months of the year, which, remember, May, June, and July do not have abbreviations. Most of the days of the week and months of the year are 3 letters, starting with a capital, ending with a period, but there are some that are 4. Notice September, Thursday. And then you have other things that are capitalized, like gallon, G-A-L period, inches, I-N period. These are just things that you slowly learn over time. Let's look at the streets. So we have street, capital S-T period, avenue, A-V-E, drive is D-R, lane, L-N, terrace, T-E-R-R, circle is C-I-R, court, C-T, route, R-T, parkway, P-K-Y period, road is R-D, boulevard, B-L-V-D, and highway, H-W-Y. Again, capital letters at the beginning and periods at the end. Moving over to parts of speech, you're looking at relative pronouns, which are words like who, whose, whom, which, and that. These introduce a dependent clause which gives more information about the main clause or the main thing in the sentence. So again, there's 5 relative pronouns you're going to be working with: who, whom, whose, which, and that. So you'll need to remember those. Those are on your daily dose of grammar sheet. The reason we use relative pronouns is to make it clear which person or thing we are talking about. Let's look at an example. Meg is a girl. Meg likes ice cream. So if we were to put this into a sentence, we would say, Meg is a girl who likes ice cream. Who likes ice cream? Meg. Who is typically used when it's talking about people. The girl who won the poster contest is in 3rd grade. So a lot of time, instead of he or she, who is the relative pronoun when you're talking about people. Whom is generally only used for people. Whom is not used very often. It's more formal than who, and it's often omitted when speaking. A lot of people don't say whom. I typically try to remember that whom follows a preposition. That's one time I know that whom is used, is when you have a preposition, next comes the word whom, like for whom. For is a preposition, so whom would come next. All right, for example, Mr. Potter is the teacher who likes coffee. So teacher is not a preposition, so I'm going to use who. Mandy is the girl with whom I play softball. With is a preposition, so the next word is whom. So knowing that what your prepositions are is helpful in helping you determine if you're using who or whom. We did look at prepositions when we were talking about them earlier, when we were talking about prepositional phrases last week or the week before. So there are a lot of prepositions. These are some examples: about, above, across, after, in, out, until, up, down, into, like, beyond, beside. So when I'm talking about prepositions, these are the words we're talking about. And in sentence construction this week, you're taking a look at similes, using similes in sentences. Similes are wonderful. Similes are comparing 2 things using the word like or the word as. For example, if you want to say that somebody swims well, you might say, they swim like a fish. And you're not really saying they are a fish, you're saying they swim like a fish, which means they swim really well. If someone's wise, I might say, Jake is as wise as an owl. So again, the word like or the word as. This sentence uses the word as in its simile. The pattern that you often see is a verb plus the word like and then a noun. She swims like a fish. There's your simile, like a fish. He plays like a professional. Like a professional is your simile. He walks like a duck. Like a duck is your simile. She acts like a clown. Like a clown is your simile. You also might see as plus an adjective plus as plus a noun as a pattern. He is as tall as a giant, as fast as a rocket, as graceful as a swan, as sneaky as a fox, as quiet as a mouse. All of these are similes, so remember using the word like or the word as. And that's all you need to know to succeed on week 4 of Daily Dose of Grammar.